Welcome, everyone, to the Scrub Laboratory, where we make custom support cards for decks with a realistic card design. So, in other words, this is a place where we make custom card support, but make it to where it seems like it could be an actual legitimate card that Konami could make. Now, just as a disclaimer, before we get into the video, all rights for the images go to their artists, their creators. If I found the name while searching on Google, I referenced their name, but I was not able to find all of them, so credit goes where credit is due. Also, feel free to leave ideas for decks you want to see support for in the comments, or if you have an idea for a card you would like to see. So, to start for today, basically for the return of Scrub Laboratory, because we have been away for probably a little over a year, is we are actually going to be making support for a deck I recently started playing, being Evilswarm. So, if you don't know already, Evilswarm is a sub-archetype of Evilswarm, also containing Steel Swarm, but we'll get to Steel Swarm in a separate video. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave them out, but Evilswarm is a dark attribute deck for the most part. There is one exception, but most members of Evilswarm are dark attribute. They have multiple types, and they are a control deck that focuses on Xyz summoning as their main win condition. Also, just as a little trivia, most attack and defense values end in 50, so if you don't like to see life points with 50, this is not the deck for you. And in the dual terminal lore, the Evilswarm virus infects other archetypes. This will actually get into the logic behind some of the designs I get into later. So for strengths, it's dark attribute. There's lots of good support cards, Allure, Veil of Darkness, The Beginning of the End is another one that comes to mind, although I personally wouldn't recommend that choice. But dark attribute makes it to where there's a lot of good support at its disposal. Main deck monsters serve two main purposes, either being removal or making rank 4s. Their Xyz monsters can control the board with their powerful effects, and there are a few Evilswarm support cards that actually have really good effects. However, their weaknesses is where the main part of the video comes in. So, for Evilswarm specifically, there are only a few special summoning options, because they mainly rely on effects that give them extra normal summons. And I personally have not run into this problem while playing Evilswarm. However, I do know that its multi-type membership makes it very weak to cards like Rivalry of Warlords. So that is a thing you'll need to watch out for if you want to play Evilswarm. The Xyz monsters also don't have any inherent protection, so you got to be able to protect the Xyz monster you summon. And then there's just also a lack of searchability within the archetype, but especially for the spells and traps, which are so important to protect your Xyz monsters and disrupt your opponent. After taking a few moments to talk about the deck's strengths and weaknesses, I thought it would be good to provide the list I am playing in case anyone wants a starting point. Feel free to make the list your own, but this is what I am playing, given my thoughts about the deck's strengths and weaknesses. So, yeah, this deck, it's great, it's really fun, I like it, but it could use some more support. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. Alright, so what Evilswarm needs is a way to manage Xyz materials so you don't run out of plays, more special summoning options, more ways to protect your Xyz monsters, and I think it's time that they get a new boss monster as well. And again, this ties back to the lore, but we will get into that later. So, without any further ado, let's look at the first support card. Starting off with the spells and traps, because I think that's where the most support is needed. We're going to give them a field spell to start off. I'm not going to read the effect word for word. You guys can read, I hope. I mean, surely Yu-Gi-Oh! Players can at least read a few words, right? But, so, basically, this is going to be a field spell that helps give your Xyz monsters more Xyz material, so that way they can keep activating their effects, mainly as a way to keep Ophion's effect live, because its effect of opponent not being able to summon level 5 or higher monsters is only applied while it has Xyz material. So this offers protection while they have Xyz material, and also can give them an additional material every turn for a cost. So obviously this would definitely be a 3 of in the new Evilswarm deck. And I think it's a great start just to help modernize the deck to where it can actually stand a better chance in today's more fast-paced Yu-Gi-Oh! Environment. And for the next card, we have a continuous spell. This one is called Infestation Gestation, and basically it prevents your Evilswarm Xyz monsters with Xyz materials from being destroyed by battle once per turn. And then if a Xyz monster you control leaves the field, you can draw a card. This would, with the wording, this would actually work in your favor with Infestation Terminus, where it's kind of like an Icarus attack, where you banish an Evilswarm you control to bounce 2 cards your opponent controls to the hand. Based on how the card is worded, this would actually work in your favor, because you can banish, say, an Ophion with no materials, bounce 2 monsters your opponent controls to the hand, and then draw a card. This is just something that I think will be good for just protecting your Xyz monsters by battle. That's the main thing, but then drawing a card is a nice bonus. And next, we have the Trap card. This is the only Trap card, and basically this is a recovery play. It allows you to summon 2 Evilswarms from your graveyard, and then immediately Xyz summon an Evilswarm Xyz monster, whether it be Ophion or Exciton Knight, whatever one you want to do. And then if you target 2 Evilswarms with different types, it basically becomes the fan-made term Spell Speed 4, where your opponent cannot activate effects in response to it. So basically this is just a way to get you back in the game after your board has been devastated. Alright, and for the 4th support card, we have a monster. So this is going to be a level 4 Dark Winged Beast monster with 1850 attack and 1250 defense. I call it Evilswarm Deux, as in like the French word for 2, because it is the second card that will be crossing over with the Dragoonidy lore. So basically, if you're not aware already, Dragoonidy, Ice Barrier, Evilswarm, Naturia, all these guys are all part of the dual terminal lore. And Evilswarm Zahak is a corrupted Dragoonidy Atlas. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, well, they have one of the dragons, but they don't have any of the winged beasts being corrupted. So I said, alright, we'll make one. So basically, this is just an extender. This is basically going to be a corrupt Legatus. And again, that kind of goes back to the lore, but we'll talk about that tie-in more once we get to the next card. But basically, it's an extender. If you normal summon Evilswarm, you can just special summon this out from your hand. Very similarly to how Backup Secretary functions in Cybers. And then you can banish it from your graveyard to target an Evilswarm in your graveyard with a different name and add it to your hand. So this is just a nice little extender and helps you get a resource back, mainly something like a Castor or a Kerkion. But yeah, this is just another way to help playthrough interruptions, or also to help make Evilswarm Ouroboros a little easier. And finally, Evilswarm Leviathan. Alright, so this is going to be a corrupted Dragoonie Knight Vajrayana. Okay, and so the reason I chose the Dragoonie specifically is because in the dual terminal lore, the Dragoonies are the ones that actually reseal Trishula, and since Trishula has a counterpart in the Evilswarm archetype, being Evilswarm Ouroboros, I said, hey, shouldn't the Dragoonity get something from them? You know, something a little more, just because of their importance in the story. So here we have a corrupted Dragoonie Knight Vajrayana. It's rank 4 with 2450 attack, 1650 defense, and basically, once it's Z-summoned, you can target a banished Evilswarm, add it to your hand. Again, this is good for getting something like a Castor or a Kyrkion back, or really any Evilswarm you want, but those are probably going to be the main two you go for. Those are the best ones. And as a quick effect, you can detach a material to target an Evilswarm XZ monster that is banished or in your graveyard, to special summon it and then attach this card and its materials to that monster. So you can literally make an Ophion during your opponent's turn, if there's an Ophion in your graveyard, or in your banish zone. So this is going to be a pain in the butt for people. It's going to be an Imperm and Valor Magnet, to say the least. But I think it's something that the deck needs. It needs something more interactive during your opponent's turn, something to disrupt the plays in the form of a monster rather than just a continuous effect. So I think this is quite a nice effect to include in the deck. Not too powerful, but also it's strong enough to where I think the deck could actually do something. And there you have it, some Evilswarm support in 2023. So hopefully you guys enjoyed just the potential support. Of course, none of this is actually real. This is all fan-made. But hopefully someone in the Konami card creation department will see this and be like, hey, we really should give Evilswarm some support. I also tried to make the support a little more specific to Evilswarm themselves, to kind of give themselves an identity completely separate from the from the Steel Swarm. So hopefully this is still good support even with that distinction, but hopefully you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I will see your faces again in the Scrub Laboratory. Next time, we are actually going to be tackling the other half of the Evilswarm archetype, the Steel Swarm. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and I will see you next time.